I think the American people would really like there to be some sort of guarantee from the President of the United States that there's not going to be an attempt to hurt their attempt to vote by mail if they choose to exercise their right to vote the way that they are allowed to do so in their state. And it's up to states how they want to do this.
I agree, and I can tell you, I can give you that
President
guarantee.
Trump
I can give
will
you that
do everything
guarantee.
he can to
I'll
help people
give you
vote.
that guarantee. I'll give you that guarantee right now. The President of the United States is not going to interfere with anybody casting their vote in a legitimate way.
I am deeply, deeply concerned about Trump's effort to undermine American democracy by defunding the Postal Service. We're in a pandemic now, Mr. President, and people should not have to put their lives on the line and get sick and maybe die in order to cast a vote.
Look, the voter fraud is incredibly rare. And when it's done in absentee ballots or in mail-in ballots, the reason why it's so easy to find out is because you literally have a paper trail.
This debate is really over a process. A number of states are now trying to figure out how they're going to go to universal mail-in ballots. That's a disaster where we won't know the election results on November 3rd. And we might not know it for months. And for me, that's problematic because the Constitution says that then a Nancy Pelosi in the House would actually pick the president.
Does it make sense to change the system this close to the election?
Yeah, so Chris, we've actually had a pretty deep history with vote by mail, and we just had a primary, which was a little bit different only because it was a primary, but we learned a lot from it, and we liked what we saw. Between the option to vote by mail, to drop your ballot in secure boxes that we'll have all around the state, to show up actually on election day and hand your ballot over, or failing all that to actually vote in person, the system is going to work for us.
The Democrats aren't willing to give the people the money and the post office the money.
Your response?
Look, you got a pathological liar in the White House. To say that the Democrats are not working on behalf of working people or not funding the post office is another lie. The House should come back and make sure that the U.S. Postal Service is fully funded. I think we've got to do everything we can to get rid of this new Postmaster General, who is clearly a campaign contributor for Trump trying to undermine the Postal Service.
I think it's a little disingenuous for Bernie and the rest of the Democrats to be making so much noise on this. They weren't trying to do it in February or March or April or May, and this is something that just is popping up now. I think what really is going on here is they're trying to change the rules and try to institute something that normally takes 5 to 10 years to put in place and rush it through in only 5 to 10 weeks. Everyone remembers the hanging chads in Florida in 2000. Imagine that in 10 or 15 states across the country.
Are you worried you're going to disenfranchise some of your own voters in the next election by not giving emergency aid to the Postal Service now?
I think what President Trump wants is a fair election. If you have a tried and true system where they've been doing it like absentee ballots, where there's some security mechanisms built in, that's totally acceptable. That's a great thing to do. But you can't have a new system being tried where there's not the right time to do it and expect them to get it right and then expect that Americans will have confidence in the elections.